Hello, in today's video we'll be working on this Honda Civic with a code P0134, which indicates no activity in the oxygen sensor, bank 1, sensor 1, and also has that other code, but we'll take care of that code in a later video. So to begin, the first thing I do is monitor the activity on that sensor, which on this vehicle is known as an air fuel sensor. For a quick explanation of what we are looking at, this is a graph of the air fuel sensor's reading, 0 milliamps representing stoic, meaning the ideal ratio of air to fuel, while a negative milliamp reading indicates a lean mixture and a positive milliamp reading indicates a rich mixture. A good sensor will generally fluctuate between rich and lean because the computer will keep using these readings to adjust the fuel mixture. But as you can see, the readings on this sensor is putting out a constant rich, indicating some sort of problem with the air fuel sensor. These sensors do have a heater circuit to warm up the sensor, but this vehicle has been idling long enough to where that shouldn't be a problem. Well, anyways, let's get started with the removal of this air fuel sensor. The first thing we want to do is lift the vehicle and support it with a jack stand. And the sensor we're looking for is bank 1, sensor 1, which is easy to locate on this vehicle since it only has one bank being an inline 4 cylinder and sensor 1 being the upstream sensor before the catalytic converter. So we'll want to find the connector, which in this case is mounted just to the side of the exhaust manifold. But unfortunately it looks like it's held onto the bracket with a zip tie, so we'll just slide out the whole connector to move over the zip tie. Now we just gotta press in on this part of the connector to separate the connector. This connector works by lifting up on the front part as you press in on the rear tab. Now we'll want to slide off these rubber guides from the metal brackets. And that's one. And there's the other, which I'll get to from the bottom. And now for the oxygen sensor. They make special tools to remove them, but in this case I find it easier to just use a 7/8 wrench. You want to make sure that you slide it in completely so it doesn't slip off and damage the corners. And once you got it on good, give it a good turn, rotating it counterclockwise. Once you get it loose, you can try and remove the rest by hand if possible. Which as you're rotating, the wiring can tangle everywhere, so you'll want to pull that through first. And now off comes the sensor. When you get your sensor off, the first thing you'll want to do is inspect the wiring for any damage or cut wires, which this one seems to be fine. So I'll follow that up with checking the heater circuit, which will be these two black wires. And for this you'll want to use a multimeter. And to probe the circuit, you'll want to connect the leads to the two terminals on the lower part of the connector. Now you'll want to set your meter to the lowest resistance setting, or you can put it on the continuity setting if your meter has it. Now you'll want to connect one lead to the black terminal and the other lead to the other black terminal to measure the resistance. Based on this reading, the heater circuit is fine. If it was open or didn't give you a reading, then you'll know the heater element is bad on this sensor. I'm replacing the sensor anyways based on the readings I was getting, and the best sensors we use on these vehicles are the Denso air fuel sensors. You'll want to make sure that it matches your old one, and you'll also want to make sure that your sensor comes with anti-seize on the threads. If not, you'll want to use a copper colored anti-seize, and the reason for this is it's a very high temp anti-seize, which is what you'll need on this application. Now let's go ahead and install our new sensor, which you'll want to get in by hand as much as you can to avoid damaging the threads. Once you get it tight by hand, you'll want to give it a final tightening with a wrench. The torque spec is about 33 foot-pounds if you prefer to torque it, but it's pretty hard to get a torque wrench in this area. Follow next by reinstalling the guides. and finally reconnecting the connector. You'll want to push it in until you hear the click. For now I'll use the same zip tie, which unfortunately you'll want to splice in a new connector to get it to mount as it did originally. Now that we got it mounted and connected, let's start the car and see if the graph's any different. The graph is definitely different, and how it should be reading, going from lean to rich, back to lean, and that should take care of that code. Now stay tuned for the next video and the next code repair. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. If so, please click that thumbs up button to support my video and my channel, and please subscribe if you haven't done so.